to celebrate the City of Houston Celebrate Diversity Month, Lunch and Learn. I'm Key Wilson, and I am the Title VI coordinator for the City of Houston. Now, today is an opportunity where we may honor and celebrate the mosaic of culture and abilities, our own lived experiences that make us unique. We welcome you to engage in this discussion by asking questions, sharing your thoughts. Feel free to use the chat while someone is speaking, or you can come off mute to speak during the Q&A period. We are excited to discuss the impact of culture in leading and operating businesses and organizations with a panel of dynamic local business owners that do just that, integrating culture into their operations. And though we have a short time together today, it will be filled with value-added information from our leaders in this Houston local economy. Starting with the director of the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity, Director Marcia E. Murray, who is responsible for cultivating a competitive and diverse economic environment here in the city and promotes the success of small businesses with emphasis on historically underutilized businesses and disenfranchised individuals. Director Murray?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Key, for the introduction. April is Celebrate Diversity Month and Houston Diversity Month, and we're so excited to have individuals representing the richness of our lived experiences and backgrounds with us. The Office of Business Opportunity created this event to celebrate Houston's diverse business and entrepreneurship community. We also wanted to facilitate insightful conversation about what it takes to lead with a true commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Each of us, including today's panel of diversity leaders, has an individual experience that comes from a vast mix of culture and learning styles. We have unique physical and mental abilities, and we express ourselves in different ways. We also identify with others of similar backgrounds, lifestyles, and belief systems. As a business community, we must remain mindful in recognizing the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion in how we operate. Every entrepreneur has a story of what inspired them to start their business. It could be from personal history or fueled by their purpose or belief system. And we all have unique ways of managing our teams and our daily affairs. In the next few minutes, I encourage everyone to be mindful of the valuable perspectives and best practices offered by our panelists and keynote speaker. Ella, Elise, Gary, Meredith, and Director Cazares, a very special thank you, very special thank you for sharing your time with us to shed light on such an important and relevant topic. I'd also like to thank my team, Key Wilson, the City of Houston's Title VI coordinator, as well as Nellie Pena and PIO Pearl Cajales from our External Affairs Division. They all worked so hard to bring you today's event, so special thank you to them. Before I hand it back to Key, know that the Office of Business Opportunity offers a multitude of business resources on our website, which can be found at houstontx.gov/OBO, as well as through our newsletter and on social media. We also have a weekly e-blast of resources, events, and bid opportunities. If you'd like to join our mailing list, please drop your email address in the chat window or reach out to us via phone or email. Thank you all for spending your lunch hour with the Office of Business Opportunity. We hope you find today's panel engaging and insightful. Thanks again.
Thank you, Director Murray. I appreciate that. Now we get to hear from Gabe Cazares. And Gabe oversees the accessible delivery of City of Houston services, programs, and activities for over 215,000 Houstonians living with disabilities. In addition to that, he is a President Biden appointment to the U.S. Ability One Commission. I want you to know that Gabe is a change maker. Gabe?
Thank you, Key, and thank you, Director Murray, for having me with the Office of Business Opportunity and this great panel. I'm going to be brief. I think the panel is going to have a great discussion this afternoon, but you may be wondering, what is this young cat that is a bureaucrat have to share with me today. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself to set up the presentation. I'm a native Houstonian. I am the son of immigrants. I'm a first generation college graduate. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and I'm a person with a disability. Now, the only thing that you would know by looking at me is that I'm a person with a disability because my disability is obvious. What you wouldn't know about me is all of the other characteristics that I've laid out that make up my experiences, my identity, and that inform my professional uh, experience, both as an employee and as a manager. So this afternoon, I'd like to share with you 3 quick tips that have helped me be a better leader, a better manager, and a better colleague, while centering diversity, equity, inclusion, and I will add another letter to the letter alphabet soup, accessibility. I often say that in the DEI sector, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we often forget the hidden D, which is disability. And as the director of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, I will tell you, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say that people with disabilities make up a very under-resourced and under-tapped potential in the workforce. The unemployment rate for people with disabilities nationwide between the ages 21 to 64 is approximately 63%. So I encourage you to work with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities and the Office of Business Opportunity to increase hiring potential for people with disabilities. And I could go into a whole nother talk about that, so I won't. I'll tell you, the first thing that I learned as an employee is that we do better when we're allowed to bring all of ourselves to the workplace. As I mentioned as part of my introduction, I am a son of immigrants. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I'm a person with a disability. And one of the things that I've found most empowering in my career is when supervisors allowed me to work on policy positions or do research or do presentations on things that intersected all 3 of those identities. You know, oftentimes as business leaders, you're focusing on your sector, what you do best, and absolutely so. You want to make sure that you're setting your best foot forward. But are you doing everything you can to make the spaces that you occupy, the associations that you represent, welcome to everybody in your community, including folks who may look differently than you, like I do? The second criteria that I follow to ensure that we're focusing on disability, our diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the work that we do is making sure that I look around and I make sure that my decisions are informed by diverse voices. We all have competing priorities, whether it's market values, supply and demand, or competing policy priorities. One of the things that I have found to be helpful for me is to take stock of who's around the tables that I sit at. Are the tables that I sit at homogenous to my experience? Do they include people that would be most impacted by the decisions that I make or choose not to make? Those are considerations that I have learned to take seriously because often even the best intentions have unintended consequences. So I encourage all of you in your business areas and your industry to take a look at who's around the table making decisions that will impact your business and your industry. And you may be saying, I'm a small business. I may just be one person. But we all have that close knit network of friends and community that provide us advice, that provide us that unofficial counseling. Are your friends reflective of the diversity in the city of Houston? I know that continues to be an area of improvement for me. And I encourage you to take stock of uh, your advisors, your friends, and ensure that your positions are informed not just by your own experience, but by those who may not look like you, who may not worship like you, who may not experience family relationships the way that you do. You may be wondering, what does all of this have to do with business? The reality is, the broader our perspective is, the broader our diversity reaches, the stronger we are as a community, the stronger you are as an industry, as a business owner. I'll tell you that in work that we're doing at the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, one of the main priorities for me has been finding businesses that make it a priority to highlight, to employ people with disabilities. And that's a real untapped opportunity. So make sure that your circle is representative of all of the diversity in our city. The third component I'd like to share with you this afternoon is taking stock of the language that you use. Words are so powerful. And I think in this time of particularly hardened polarization, we automatically get defensive when someone challenges us on our use of verbiage. But the reality is that words have power, and they have the power to impact people in significant ways. For example, for many years, the disability community was referred to as handicapped people. In fact, state statute still refers to accessible parking spaces as handicap parking. The reality is that although my eyes don't work the same way that you do, my experience in moving through this world hasn't been handicapped by it. In fact, I would venture to say that I've had experiences that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have my disability. So be mindful of the language that you use in your marketing materials, in your day-to-day interactions with people. Language, including a broader circle in your personal or business advisors, and making sure your space is welcoming to employees so that they can bring their full selves to the workplace, have been tools that have been successful for me to ensure that I'm fostering a community in my workplace that embraces diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I hope though these are tools that will be helpful for you as well. Kai, thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Gabe. I really appreciate you being here, sharing your experience, and also challenging us to expand the way that we look, the way that we behave, the way that we act, and the way that we speak in interacting with members of our community. I do appreciate that. And just so that you know, we are recording this and we will share it with you, and it will be available. So if there are any of those tools that you missed from Director Casares, you'll be able to hear them again. So I would like to bring forth at this time a dynamic group of panelists that will share some experiences with you today. We have Elise Espinoza, who is the owner of State Line Designers. Hi, Elise. We have Ella Russell, who will be joining us shortly, and she is the owner of E Doublicious in Crumville, Texas. Gary Ilagan, Afong Ilagan LLP, and also represents the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce, Texas, the Greater Houston region. And we have Meredith Wheeler, who is the owner of Sesh Co-working. Hello to all of our panelists. So we're going to start today by asking you the very first question so we can jump right in there and get all of your valuable insights before we have to get off today. The first question that we have is, please share with us your business that you have created and the cultural identity that you've integrated into your business. But please bring your whole self to the table and share with us those things that even may not be a part of your business. Shall we start with Elise?
Yeah, okay, yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So yes, my name is Elise Espinosa. I own State Line Designs. I am Latina, is my cultural identity. Latina. So what I do is I started a Texas-inspired apparel company here in Houston, and it's kind of shifted from when I started, I wanted to use my background in graphic design. Originally, when I was younger, I got a job at 15 and I loved working. So I actually didn't want to go to college because I wanted to work versus going to college. But my father, he actually didn't go to school. He never went to college. So he told me, I don't care what you study, just go to college and I'll help you with it. So I think that has a lot to do with how I started and how he started, not being able to provide, not being able to ever go to school and having to work. Having a kid very young, he knew that he had to work. So I didn't want to go to school, but my dad was like, go to school for what you want and I'll help you pay for it. So I moved from Houston to Los Angeles to go to an art school. And I said, well, if I'm going to go to school, I'm going to go to school for art, graphic design, which now transitioned to my business that I own today. I worked in education for a while. I worked at Yes Prep, which I'm an alumni from Yes Prep. So I worked at Yes Prep for a few years until I started my company. And within about 8 months, I was doing better at my side hustle. And I turned that into a full-time business. So I've been full-time for 8 years now, running my company. I guess within the culture identity, I've been able to hire my mom. So now my mom works for me, which is awesome. And then my son, who's 8 years old, if you follow my social media, you will see him selling shirts for me at all of our events. He's definitely a part of my brand. So I think kind of my parents instilled that work ethic in myself. And my son, I've had my business for 8 years and I've had my son for 8 years. He's 8. So if you see me around town, sometimes people don't even ask for me. They're like, where's your son? You know, how is he going to help? So I definitely think that's how I've integrated my culture into my brand.
Thank you, Elise, for sharing. I appreciate that. Meredith.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Elise. Thank you guys for having me on. So I'm Meredith Wheeler. I am one of 2 co-founders of Sesh Co-working. Sesh is a workspace, flexible workspace located in Midtown. And we primarily serve women, communities of color, and the LGBT community, along with allies. So basically what that means, and this is a huge part of our cultural identity, as you can probably guess, is our workspace, we're co-working, it's a flexible space. So we have an area that's open for anyone to come in and work, whether that's through a day pass or a membership. We also offer dedicated desks and private workspaces, but we've created a community and an environment that celebrates and respects and listens to our community members as well as our staff. Our staff is 100% identifies 100% within one of the minority groups, and we look forward to continuing to grow that. I really love what the director said about incorporating people at your table who have different shared experiences from yourself. I think that is something that we really try to do at SESH. We've always said that our community should reflect the beautiful diversity of the city of Houston. That's always where we're striving to be. I think that as myself, when I first learned about co-working and communities, co-working communities similar to SESH, I, at the time, even though I'm a native Houstonian, I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I first learned about them. And that was also my first dose of reality in noticing, oh, though they didn't build that for me. When I first felt like I wanted to be a part of it, but I walked in and definitely felt like it wasn't meant for me. And so from there and from my experiences that I had both in Houston before, but also in California, coming back to Houston, it was so important to me that we create a space where each person's individuality is celebrated, where they can walk into their place of work and they can be seen as a whole person, every part of them, every part of them that they want to share with us, we want to share with them. So that's Sesh. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Meredith. I appreciate that. Gary.
Yes, thanks, Key. Thanks a lot, everybody, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this panel. So Fong Ilagan LLP is an immigration law firm. And when you think of immigration law, I mean, diversity is inherent to what we do every day. My law partner, William Fong, is a second generation Chinese American born in DC, grew up in Maryland. I believe his parents ran a Chinese restaurant for many, many years. I am a Filipino American second generation, US born in Chicago. My mom immigrated as a registered nurse, and my dad immigrated as a CPA from the Philippines. And both Bill, my law partner, and I have been practicing for over 25 years. Bill started his practice in 2001. We merged our practices in 2017, and we really draw upon our immigrant experiences, obviously, and we're paying it forward. We've been paying it forward for many years in everything that we do. Most of our business is employment-based immigration, so we represent companies and investors in many of the major industries here in Houston, including, of course, oil and gas services, manufacturing, healthcare, industrial services, education, institutions of higher education, and research organizations. So we're really, really busy with that. We also have a very large family-based immigration practice as well. Spouses, fiancés, siblings, parents of U.S. citizens. And it's been such a gratifying experience representing clients from all over the world. It's just amazing. And we talk about, oh, I've never had a client from this country, and we take note of that. And we really like learning about other cultures. And that's really kind of created this atmosphere here in the office of, if you want to work here, you really have to have an interest in immigration law, and helping people achieve their American dream. And that's what we do every day, and we love it. So thanks.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate you sharing. And we also have with us today Ella Russell. Ella is the owner of E-Doublicious in Crumville, Texas. Ella?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, so I'm a little tardy to the party, but I think I know what's going on. I am Ella Russell. I'm the owner and baker and operator at Crumville, Texas Bakery in E-Doublicious Streets, located in 3rd Ward, Texas. And I'm sorry, what else am I telling about?
Yes, you're sharing your business and the integration of your cultural experience, your lived experience in your business.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, so literally it's very much similar to that I grew up loving. I feel like I'm the neighborhood cookie lady 2.0. The cookie ladies and pastry ladies that I grew up knowing baked from their home and served the community. So the way that I've integrated my culture with my business is a lot of, and not only just my culture, other cultures relate baked goods to happy experiences. It's birthdays, it's weddings, it's baby showers. So whenever you think of baked goods, you typically think of a happy time in your life or your childhood. So my bakery definitely represents that. I also have a little jar at my shop, which is called Cookie Karma. A lot of people think it's a tip jar. However, when they ask about it, because it says Cookie Karma, I explain to them that it's an opportunity for my customers to do something nice for a stranger. So they leave their change behind. And if somebody comes in and their card gets declined, or they were just jogging by and popped their head in and saw something they wanted, and they don't have the money to pay for it, they can pay for it out of the jar. So it also reminds us that you don't have to see who benefits from your good deeds or your kindness, just be kind anyway. So I just grew up in a very loving and kind home and community. So I emulate most aspects of that throughout my business. My sons worked for me at the business until they became adults. I started when they were 3 and 9, and now they're 20 and 26. So they have their own lives and their own careers now, and they step in and pop in from time to time. But it's definitely been an integration of like how I grew up. And my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was a head chef for the school district back where in my hometown. I'm originally from Galveston. But yeah, so that's how I've culturally integrated into my work and my business. And it's really like it's all, I feel like my customers are like my cousins or my little sisters or my brothers. Like it's really a family oriented space. My customers in the space, time, energy, they tell everybody. I don't have any paper marketing except for like business cards. Other than that, it's like word of mouth. So my customers appreciate and support and share the feelings that they get from being in the space with their family members and their coworkers. So definitely appreciative to that.
Thank you, Ella, for sharing. And what we can see already from this very first question is today we are centering the human experience and how valuable that is, and how we take what we learn and what we've experienced to ensure others have a dynamic experience when they interface with the businesses and the people in your businesses. Okay, I'm going to stay focused, but I'm really excited about today. Okay, question number 2. Feel free to answer as you are so moved to do so. Question number 2 is, how has your cultural identity and life experience influenced the business that you decided to create? How do you come about with this idea? What happened for you? And how do you infuse that into your management or your operations? Where do you see that specifically integrated? Or if someone comes to experience your business, what do they take away?
I know I was laughing. Oh.
Go ahead, Ella.
No, go ahead. I just talked. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to oh gosh, now my thoughts already left my head. Hashtag business owner. So I would say that I think something I experienced going in and starting my own business, and as you can imagine, Sesh, our community is full of a lot of business owners, though not everyone runs their own business. We do have quite a few. And something I learned that I have tried to bring into our company now, from my experience, was I experienced so much doubt in my own capabilities. And we can, there are so many places and externally that this can come from that can make a young girl start to think these things, and it's very complicated. And each person has their own experience with that. But for me, I just came into running this business with so much doubt. Was I capable? Did I have the tools? And I just recall my husband looking at me and going, "What are you out of here? Of course you can do all this. Why do you think you can't?" And trying to explain to him where these thoughts may have come from, but that I don't even know because it probably started when I was a child. I don't know. But bringing that into my experience, because I've gained so much confidence. Oftentimes, confidence is just gained from getting out there and trying things. Um, I really try to help, especially startups and new founders or new business owners. I really try to connect with them, and I make sure our staff connects with them to provide them with the resources that they are looking for or that they need. Or maybe it's just a connection to someone who is a bit further along in their journey, in that business journey, who can help guide them and say, "Hey, I know how you feel. I've been there." I think facilitating those connections within our community really helps to establish that it's okay to feel this way. It's completely normal to feel nervous or scared or doubtful or insecure. But number two, don't let it hold you back, because your gifts are too wonderful and your ideas are too wonderful not to share with the rest of the world, and especially with the city of Houston. So that is one way that I've taken this one experience I've had and tried to incorporate it into the way we work with our community.
Hmm. Hmm. And people need that encouragement for sure. Ella, what were you going to share?
So pre-pandemic, or since I started my shop, which my shop opened in pop-up shop opened in 2015. The actual store opened in 2016, and the experience that I had as I was growing my business, it became a business in 2007, but I didn't have a storefront until 2016. So between 2000 and technically 4 when I started baking, and 2015 when I opened up a shop, there were a lot of Black-owned businesses who opened up their doors and their spaces to me to allow me to do pop-up shops in their space. And they didn't charge me anything. They just allowed me to come in and set up my shop, and I was able to either sell to their customers or invite my customers to come to the pop-up shops, and also a chance to experience their business. So when I opened up my storefront, what I did was I turned my pop-up shops inside out, and I opened up this space to small business owners who had the clientele, they had the product, they had the work ethic, but not necessarily the money to have for the overhead of a storefront. And so what it did was it created an opportunity for us to cross-pollinate customers. So customers who were coming to get treats from Crumville, who may not have known about produce milk, would be able to meet her, and we'll be able to exchange customer experiences, or other types of business. I did markets at my shop. So I gave up and coming business owners an opportunity to see what it's like to have the flow of a storefront, because it's completely different from a pop-up shop. I didn't realize that before I opened up the shop, but once I did, I was like, oh, wait, this is different. So I think it's important for small business owners or business owners up and coming to understand and feel for it before they make a commitment, a financial commitment, a personal commitment, to open up a storefront, because you may think it's what you want, and it may not be, or you may get in and say, oh my God, I love this. This is what I do. So I was able to offer that opportunity to several business owners before the pandemic happened. And unfortunately, since the pandemic, the storefront has been pretty much closed to any outside events, and only just, grab and go options for the store, just to be responsible and be as safe as I can for all of my customers and other business owners. So that's been a great opportunity. A lot of the business owners made a lot of connections. They made a lot of decisions. being able to have that space. You could have a recurring pop up if you wanted, or you can just do a one time. It just kind of depended on, the seriousness. It wasn't just somebody that was like selling sunglasses or somebody that wanted. Nothing against somebody that sells sunglasses, but somebody that actually had an innovative product that they were trying to get out to the masses. Yeah. So that was an opportunity that I gave them. And so I look forward to being able to do that again. It's very important. I made a lot of connections and customers cross-pollinating with other business owners who opened up their space to me. And I was grateful that they trusted me to be able to, not interfere with the flow of their business or
Yes.
take anything away from that. So.
Yes. Well, what's interesting that we're seeing here in this link is the building of community and paying it forward, and
Yeah.
how you have been able to be profitable in your business while building community and paying it forward. And so having those foundational tenets that are important to you have proven that you can have your business and still be the people you are. Let's move to question number 3. So question number 3 is, share some significant outcomes that have been realized in your business or organization as a result of this cultural integration and life experience into the way that you operate. So how have you seen that in action? I know, Ella, you just spoke to others pursuing their businesses and making connections and building client lists. Gary, Elise, do you have some significant outcomes you'd like to share?
Yes. I think what has in my experience, and I also teach social media branding to entrepreneurs on how to build their business. And my number one kind of thing that I teach is it doesn't matter what you sell, it's how you sell it. And even in that, your personality is going to sell, like your identity and your personality is what is going to sell your brand or your business. So with social media, because I do social media marketing, I teach people how to do social media marketing. Showing your face, I hate showing my face, but it's part of my brand. Showing my son, showing my mom behind me working, printing shirts, that's a part of my brand. And people resonate with that. People want to see that. That's someone is going to support. I'm literally getting goosebumps like having this conversation, but people are going to support you based on your work ethic, what they see you doing. Sometimes people know I don't sleep. I sleep 3-4 hours a night, which is not healthy as a business owner. But that's what I have, as we all have a lot going on. But I'm up printing at 3 a.m. because that's the time I have to print, and I have to get it done because I have events but I post that on Instagram. I post I post me drinking coffee at 7 p.m. I post me printing at 3 a.m. and people are like, oh my gosh, she's a hard worker. Let me support her. People are going to support you when you are showing your true self and being authentic. So my clients, I have clients that are chiropractors. I have clients that are, brands X, Y, and Z. And with my clients, if you show your true self and you're authentic in what you do, people will support you. It doesn't matter on the spectrum of what you do, it's how you show that this is a part of your culture, this is a part of you. I know I've been working since I was 15, and a lot of people can resonate with that. I'm a mom, I'm a single mom. People are like, oh, I want to support you because we see how hard you work for your son, and that I hire other people that work for me too. So yeah, I think it's just integrating yourself into your brand. That's going to help you tell your story in a noisy social media world.
Fantastic. Gary?
Yeah, when I hear everything about working hard work ethic, it's all about the American dream, right? I mean, this is what we try to help our clients achieve for themselves and their families, and we draw upon that to really do high quality immigration legal work for them. And as a result, the number one business referral is word of mouth. And my advice to any small business owner, and I'm also talking as executive director of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce, I mean, we talk about that all the time. Word of mouth. You got to take care of your customers. You got to take care of your clients because they will always refer clients to you. I have clients who are former clients of mine who will refer clients to me, but they were my clients 25 years ago. And I will still remember their names. And it's fantastic when you get that kind of referral. Another thing that I wanted to touch upon is that um, diversity here in the Houston area is amazing. I'm a product of Alief Hastings High School, graduated. I'm a Fighting Bear, and grew up in that system, and was exposed to every race, people from all over the world. And our office is actually in the Asia Town, West Chase area, so we're not far from where I went to high school. And what we do is we try to hire from every race. We've had every race here in this office. Right now, we have employees whose heritage, their origins are from France, Colombia, Cuba, China, Philippines, Mexico, Cambodia, El Salvador. I might be missing a couple of other countries, but the diversity is awesome here within our office. And whenever we get together for Thanksgiving luncheons or holiday Christmas luncheons, people are bringing in their favorite foods from home, and it's absolutely fantastic when you get to share that kind of you always learn so much about other cultures through food, and it's just a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you.
Gary, it's interesting that you're bringing the variety of cultures in your staff. How does that lean into the decision-making process?
We really don't think about race when we're hiring. The people who want to work for us just happen to be particular races. We were looking for the most qualified candidate at that time. Kind of hard to find people these days. I don't know about you all, but and it just happens that way. I don't know if it's just because it's immigration law and people draw upon their own immigrant experiences that they want to work in an immigration law firm. I mean, that could very well be a good part of it, but it's not a factor. I mean, but we like it, obviously. I mean, diversity here in the office is great, so we enjoy it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We have time for one more question, and then we'll go to our Q&A so that we can get participation and questions from those that may have joined us today. So if you can leave us today with the best practice that you recommend our leaders and business owners use to advance this culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I always like to add the B for belonging, because people need to feel that they belong in your day-to-day operations. Please share with us if there is a specific policy, procedure, best practice that you haven't spoken about yet.
So I don't know that we necessarily have a policy or a procedure, but what I would recommend, and something that we take very seriously here, both myself and my business partner Maggie, as well as our staff, is it's definitely about listening to people and actively engaging in open conversations when the other person is willing. Don't go interrupt their meeting to start a conversation, but really actively engage and listen to the members of the community. Director Kazara has mentioned making sure your friend group or the support circle you lean on has a diverse background of shared experiences, or a diverse background of experiences, excuse me. And I think that's very important in your staff as well. But again, it's about listening and actively connecting. And I would say reading. I mean, we're only one person. We can only have our own experience, and we can only know and meet so many people. Read. There's so many incredible books out there by so many incredible authors from all backgrounds. And sometimes they write about, and oftentimes they write about their experiences that they had. And while you don't then take that as your own experience, it is a great way to learn and just look at life from another perspective. So we do a lot of reading here.
Okay, that's great. Elise, do you have anything that's a best practice you'd like to share?
I think with social media. That's a lot of what I do. And our brand is definitely being inclusive, but not because you want to write on paper that you're inclusive, but definitely I create a lot of sports inspired apparel. So people obviously of all cultures, we're in Houston, they wear my brand. They wear my brand and travel to different like countries around the world. They'll always like tag me or send me photos and say, hey, you know, today was my 7-year anniversary and we decided specifically to wear your shirt. And then I'll post that on my social media and be like, look at this, you know, cool couple or, you know, cool people traveling in my stuff. And I think showing that on social media, I work with a lot of brands and sometimes they say they're inclusive, but when you look at their social media, it doesn't look like it. So when I'm having conversations with these large brands that want to hire me to work under them, I don't see that you have a lot of Latinas in your platform. Maybe that's why you're bringing me, but I hope that's not the only reason you're bringing me is to like show me because I'm Latina, you know? So having these conversations and making sure what you're saying you're doing is actually what you're doing, whether it's on social media, but more importantly in real life, like connecting with people of all cultures is just extremely important. But like sharing that, people want to see that. I, you know, want to share things of other people that are representing, and I don't want to just look like I'm only representing one culture and not the other. I want people to know that I own a sports inspired apparel, and you can be any and every color and any and every age to wear any of my designs. And I make sure that I'm creating items so that it's family oriented and there's not, you know, color in anything. It's just that's really people are very diverse that wear my brand, and
Mhm.
I get excited about that.
Thank you. Ella, are there any best practices you'd like to share, recommend? Wait, we can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
You can't read lips.
Not today.
I'm very personable. So every time, I mean, each and every one of my customers feels special every single time they come. It doesn't matter if it's their first visit, if it's their fifth visit, if they're buying one treat, if they're buying 20 treats, it doesn't matter. Um, I intentionally don't have Wi-Fi at my shop because I feel like we're always connected to something outside. And I just want to create space for human connection. So people are always saying, oh my God, I can't believe you remembered my name, or I can't believe you remembered what I got. But it's because I'm always present when I'm at the shop. I'm not where I was, I'm not where I need to go. I'm always right there. And my customers, which call themselves Crumbheads, they really appreciate it. They really appreciate it, and I can tell that they feel like more than special. You know what I mean? Like they definitely feel like that I have, and I do. It's not. I mean, I really am connected to them. I remember if you said you had, I don't know, a job interview, or you're studying for exams or whatever. Like I'm very much in tune with you, and so I'm saying all that to say, like, my best practice is to be present and intentional and pay attention to my customers when they come in. Um, and always making sure that there's an exclamation point on the experience. Um, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I make mistakes. I always take responsibility. I'm never putting the blame off on anybody else, even if I have somebody that may have mislabeled something or whatever. I am always the person that's going to um, be responsible for, and as well as at the exclamation point on your experience. So I know the main thing that I do is what I want to be or how I want to be treated when I go somewhere. It's definitely what I do at my business. So I'm always remembering how would I want to feel in this moment? What would I want to receive in this moment? And then I'm very intentional with like giving that. So
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Gary, your best practice.
Yeah, so the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce side of me wants to tell everybody to take a look at your mission statement, and if it doesn't already include your, your personal lived experiences or values, try to incorporate, put it in a sentence in there to kind of reinvigorate you and your business to and your focus in what you do every day. That's something that we like to say, and what we do as a firm as well. Volunteer for projects that actually follow those values, right? Your personal experiences, and let everybody know about it in social media. Elise mentioned a lot about what she does. I mean, that's definitely what you need to do to get everybody out there to know what you do, not only for your business, but for the community. That's a very, very big thing. I know small business owners are so busy. I don't have time to volunteer. You got to make time to volunteer, whatever it is, as small as it might be, you have to. And that's another way of paying it forward. Another thing that from the Philippine American Chamber side of me, I guess in line of volunteering, being open to other groups who you don't normally work with. Again, opening up to diversity. The city of Houston, and people from all over. Our Philippine American Chamber really recently had an event. We hosted Kim Milstead, who's with the U.S. Department of Justice Community Relations Service. I met her at an Asian Chamber of Commerce event where it was a small business roundtable in the Asian community that was there to talk about concerns in the Asian American business community, hate crimes and things like that. And I met Kim, and she spoke to our chamber last week. It was awesome because word got out somehow, and we had folks from the Black community come out to hear her speak at our chamber. It was awesome. So we've made connections with a group that we probably wouldn't have had a chance to connect with if we didn't put on this event.
Right.
So it's a perfect example of just how wonderfully diverse this city is, and what we can learn from each other by participating in each other's events. So those are the
Thank
things
you.
that I would impart.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. As we move forward, do we have any questions from our attendees? We can open the Q&A for questions. And while we're deciding if we have questions, I made note of these best practices. And as we share this out, I want to definitely include this list about taking responsibility and being present and intentional, listening, reading, sharing, and telling the stories that are of value. I have so many on my list. Are there any questions that we'd like to pose to our panelists at this time? Well, if not, I encourage each and every one of us to stay informed and active in celebrating and showcasing the diversity of our individual lived experiences. I also ask you to continue to learn more about, engage in activities with, and hire those that bring diversity to the table, to lead your businesses and organizations focused on including persons who bring with them cultural, physical, gender, neurodiverse experiences. This is what fosters authentic relationships among staff, among your clients, and among the culture. There are several resources that exist that reflect the data of Houston's diversity, methods for honoring, celebrating, and gathering that. I have a few here that I'm going to add to the chat because I think it's important that we constantly review resources. As Meredith shared, read, learn, go online. I mean, there's so many resources that you can get for free. And so I encourage you to use some of those. Visit the OBO website. There's the Rice University Kinder Institute for Urban Research, Houston SBA, SBDC, Race Forward, the various chambers of commerce. And as Gary shared, you don't have to go to a chamber of commerce that's just for you, that identifies with something you connect with. Visit others and make those connections. So I just really want to thank each of our panelists today for your insight, your experience, being so open and willing to share. Thank you to Gabe Casares for challenging us and bringing additional insight today. I would like to thank Director Murray for supporting this effort and encouraging us in the city of Houston. I want to thank each one of us that has participated and engaged today. Again, we will share this recording, so you will be able to see it ongoing. And then also thank you again to Pearl and Nellie and the External Affairs Department for making this come to fruition. So if there are no other questions or anything you'd like to share, I'll close out today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Key.
Thank you. I
Good job.
appreciate you all. Have a wonderful week. Wishing you
You
much
too.
You too.
success. Bye-bye.